Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, the parent function f of x equals x squared is transformed to obtain the new function g of x equals negative x plus 7 squared minus 5. Which steps are required to transform f of x into g of x? Okay, so what are they asking me to do? Well, they want me to find some steps, right, that you're gonna need to transform f of x into g of x, okay? And of course, they're giving us the parent function, and that is my f of x equals x squared. And they're also giving us the new function. This is my new function, okay? So my advice is don't look at the answer choices. What about if we first try to identify what's happening on the new function? So let's write it down. And that would be g of x equals negative parentheses x plus 7 squared minus 5. Okay, now what is one of the first thing that you want to do here? Do you want to check for what does the minus 5 represent? Honestly, that's one of the easiest to identify, so hopefully that's one of the ones that you have not trouble identifying. So my minus 5 means that my quadratic function will move 5 units down, and we call that a vertical translation, right? Let me write it down over here. Okay, now what I want to check next, what about that negative, this negative sign outside? That's another one that is really easy, right? Now to help you with that, I'm going to come back to the problem where it says parent function. Parent function, I tell my students think about my parent function as a u, right? So and that's a positive, of course. So now that my new function is negative, well, guess what? My new function is gonna be, we call it downward, right? Because basically it has a reflection across the x-axis. Okay? So guess what? My new function now should look something like this. What about the number inside the parentheses, the plus 7? Let's check it out. So this plus 7, basically, and I hope that you don't get confused because you see a positive 7, it actually does the opposite. If I have a positive 7, that positive 7 means that my function actually moves 7 units to the left. Okay? So that will be always the opposite. Now, with that in mind, now let's look at the answer choices. Letter A says across the x-axis, so that's check. Then it says 7 units to the left, so that's check. Both of them are right. These two are correct. But the last one says 5 units up, and we did not say that it was going to go 5 units up. We say 5 units down, so this doesn't work. So that's why letter A is not my answer. Let's look at letter B. The parent function was reflected across the x-axis. Good, that's what it says. And then translated 7 units to the left. Check on that one. And the last one says 5 units down. And yes, I do have 5 units down. So guess what? Yes, that's my answer, guys. Letter B is going to be our answer. Okay? If you want to, you can double check the rest of the answer choices. For example, letter C, it says that is reflected across the y-axis. And nope, that's not what happened. Letter D, that's why C cannot be an answer. Letter D says reflected across the x-axis, so that's true. But then it says 5 units to the left, and we're not going 5 units to the left, right? The 5 units is actually down, so that's why that's not the answer. Okay, so it's good to always check all the answer choices, but yes, our answer was letter B. Awesome.